So I've never heard about men getting pregnant. I've never heard about this argument. It must be some part of what you call the far left that is so minuscule that I, who am...
No, Jane.
What?
It's not minuscule, and I'm sorry, you can't throw this back on us. I assume it's because you are locked into media that just never wants anyone in their audience to know anything sketchy about the blue.
On the latest episode of Club Random, Bill Maher completely dismantled Jane Fonda's woke talking points, and honestly, it was peak entertainment. Fonda seemed to walk in expecting another safe, echo chamber conversation where everyone agrees and applauds. Instead, she ran straight into Maher fully locked in, sharp, and ready to challenge her ideas line by line. From the very start, it was clear this wasn't going to be a comfortable conversation. Let's break it down.
About a garage door?
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that is...
No, you know this about California.
No, I don't.
Well,
I'm sorry, I don't.
You've never heard that California is overtaxed and overregulated? That we are a one-party state where there's sort of no checks on that sort of extreme leftism. And what do you think?
I don't for a minute consider California a state that is extreme leftist. Not at all, not any way.
Well, that shows where your politics.
There's a lot to unpack here. Jane Fonda appears so deeply immersed in the Hollywood bubble that she seems disconnected from everyday reality. After years of red carpets, applause, and activist praise, slogans have replaced logic in her worldview. Moral posturing is treated as wisdom, and dissent is treated as ignorance. Maher, on the other hand, wasn't buying it. He walked in armed with blunt honesty, ready to puncture that Hollywood illusion and pull the conversation back to the real world, where actions have consequences and ideas are tested, not applauded. Buckle up.
They became the birthers, they became the Tea Party. There's about a third of this country that's very hard right. Of course they love Trump. When he left office, he had an approval rating of 34%. So he really only had those people. Why is he now tied? Because the other part of the coalition are people who, they don't really like him that much. They just think the far left has gone so nutty on so many issues.
That's what they're being told.
That's what
by people like you.
Because it's true. You think the far left does nothing crazy?
Oh, I'm sure they do.
You could feel the tension in the room before the real exchange even started. Then came the moment of pure irony. In one breath, Jane Fonda criticized Maher for claiming the far left has gone too extreme. In the very next breath, she essentially admitted that the far left has gone too extreme. It was a textbook contradiction. The familiar pattern played out in real time. Deny the problem, deflect responsibility, then accidentally confirm the criticism. Maher caught it instantly, the audience noticed, and Fonda clearly realized she had stepped into deeper water than expected.
Who is the far left? What do you mean when you say far left?
I mean, I could give you a million examples.
Well, give me one.
Okay, the NAACP.
You think the NAACP is far left?
Could I finish my sentence?
Yes.
You asked me for an example.
Yeah.
Travel advisory, that's like the State Department does to go to, I'm sure when you went to Vietnam, they were advising you not to. There's a war on.
I didn't talk to them. I don't have no right.
I know, but a travel advisory.
Yeah.
Today we have them for very dangerous countries.
Yeah.
Don't go to North Korea. Don't go to Iran.
Yeah.
You know where they issued a travel advisory for black people not to go?
Yeah.
Florida. Every day there's stories like that that just makes people roll their eyes and go, are you people nuts? Even if they don't matter that much, I don't think one person listened to this and thought, I can't go to Florida. But they just suggest something to the average person, which I completely understand, which is, wow, do you people ever find anything that's ridiculous?
The discussion exposed a bigger issue. Woke culture isn't just a mindset anymore, it's a full ideological framework. It has seeped into politics, entertainment, education, and even everyday speech. It often positions itself against common sense, reshapes science to fit activism, and selectively rewrites history. Feelings are elevated above facts, and questioning the narrative is treated as moral failure. What began as a push for equality has evolved into a system of control enforced through shame and intimidation. Maher touched on this, though he could have pressed even harder. Woke culture isn't progress, it's erosion of basic reasoning.
You really think men can get pregnant? That kind of stuff. And I understand that a trans woman can get pregnant. That's different than a man getting pregnant. Insist on blurring that line as if that's some sort of reasonable social cause, as opposed to just being for having full rights, respect, and protection for trans.
Maher hit a nerve when he addressed biology. His point was simple. Someone born male cannot biologically become pregnant. That's not hatred, it's science. He argued that the trans rights movement would be stronger if it focused on protecting freedoms and dignity instead of demanding that society redefine biological terms. There's a difference between asking for respect and asking people to deny reality. When messaging becomes extreme, it doesn't build support, it pushes people away. Real progress comes from open dialogue, not language policing or forced agreement.
Well, I've never heard about men getting pregnant. I've never heard about this argument. It must be some part of what you call the far left that is so minuscule that I, who am...
No, Jane,
What?
It's not minuscule, and I'm sorry you can't put this back on us. I assume it's because you are locked into media that just never wants anyone in their audience to know anything sketchy about the blue.
That's when Jane Fonda tried to pivot. First, she defended far-left positions, then suddenly acted as if claims like men can get pregnant were fringe or non-existent. That argument has been front and center in public discourse for years, so the denial rang hollow. Realizing she was boxed in, she tried another escape route, arguing that woke ideology represents only a tiny fraction of Democrats. Maher immediately pushed back, pointing out that these ideas now dominate mainstream left-wing discussions. That exchange exposed everything: the denial, the spin, and the scramble to rewrite reality on the spot.
I mean, I don't know. I read two papers, and maybe I don't. I should watch Fox News.
No,
I guess.
I don't watch that. That's too far. But you don't have to. I'm not going to torture myself.
The conversation eventually fizzled out with Fonda offering a joke about wishing she watched more Fox News. But that line said more than she intended. It revealed how insulated she's been for years, surrounded by voices that never challenge her views. While she's been receiving applause inside elite circles, public opinion has been shifting elsewhere. Maher effectively pulled back the curtain, giving her a rare glimpse of how disconnected that bubble has become. Sometimes truth doesn't shout, it simply collapses the illusion.
That certainly has been the history of this country, was police who were all too willing to shoot black people. So defund the police, though, was not a good idea. And you know who mostly didn't think it was a good idea was black people, because they want police in their neighborhoods, probably more than we need them in.
This moment highlights a broader flaw in woke culture. It operates on impulse, not reflection. Movements gain traction through emotional momentum, not long-term thinking. When consequences appear, supporters quietly retreat and pretend they were never involved. The defund the police movement is a prime example. Once hailed as moral clarity, it led to rising crime and public safety concerns. Now, many communities are reversing course. Slogans feel good in the moment, but when reality hits, it's often the most vulnerable who pay the price.
The Republicans tried to catch the Democrats with this, and they put this on, they brought it up in Congress, and all the Democrats voted against it. The Democratic politicians were not for defunding the police. It's that radical fringe that has captured a lot of the media, academia, some of these cultural institutions that are not liberal anymore by old school liberalism. The ACLU is all about free speech. They don't really believe in it anymore. They believe, in one of their chief people who is trans said, I will die on this hill of banning this.
Maher's larger argument lands hard. The woke left has become the loudest and most influential faction within the Democratic Party. They dictate language, enforce ideological boundaries, and decide which topics are off limits. Moderates often stay silent, fearing backlash. Those who speak up risk cancellations, reputational damage, and in some cases personal threats. This is no longer about debate, it's about compliance. If the left doesn't push back internally, this ideological rigidity could drive it into political irrelevance.
Sorry, most voters say U.S. can't repair severe divisions. They went into the fact that 5 years ago, even during the pandemic and during the George Floyd protests, even then people thought, well, we are going to get through this. And now they seem to be on the page of, it's not going to happen.
Bill,
what do we do? But did you see the story?
Yeah, and I think what's new about this moment, one of my teachers and friends, Doug Seidman, likes to say this. We aren't divided. We are being divided.
That's right.
By companies for profit. Okay. And, we have our divisions. We always have.
Some might argue this division happened accidentally, but there's reason to believe it's intentional. The far left thrives on outrage and polarization. It's how power is maintained. Disagreement isn't debated, it's punished. People who refuse to repeat approved talking points are labeled immoral or dangerous. Jobs, relationships, and reputations have been destroyed over dissent. That's not tolerance, it's authoritarianism disguised as virtue. Unity can't exist where one side enforces ideological purity and burns every bridge of disagreement.
At some point, you on your phone, you ordered a yoga mat or something. Your algorithm figured out you're a liberal. Then your neighbor looked up a truck. You're conservative. And from that day forward, you got different information every day and nobody sent a notice. And so now you literally think your neighbor is insane because how could they possibly think this stuff? But if you put your phone next to their phone, you're in different algorithmic universes, and that is brand new. And
interestingly, this is where even Van Jones makes a strong point. What we desperately need is a shared space where opposing ideas actually collide. Social media algorithms currently trap people in ideological bubbles, feeding comfort instead of truth. Real dialogue requires exposure to opposing views, not curated outrage clips. The left should understand the right beyond caricatures, and the right should do the same. Growth comes from discomfort, not insulation. Truth isn't always comfortable, but ignoring that fact is dangerous. And with that, we wrap up today's breakdown. If you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more.